And I was kind of hoping they'd be asleep right now, and they're totally not. So I have like a smorgasbord of food and activities around me to try to entertain my 11-month-old who is going to join us. So we're going to see how this goes. Okay, so I think it's awesome hearing like, she's number 83 and she's 5-star qualifying and blah, blah, blah. And I just think some of those things, like, I want you to know where I was a year ago so that you can see like, holy freaking crap, if she did it, so can I, okay? So the day that this cutie was born, her birthday's September 28th, so end of next month, she'll be 1. The day she was born, I officially went 2-star. And like so many people are like, holy crap, you're officially 2-star the day you gave birth. That's amazing. No, I was like the fakest 2-star on the planet, guys. I had my sister who was diamond and built herself to diamond and had a bigger team than I did. And then I had my husband. And those were literally the only 2 emeralds I had in my whole personally sponsored downline. That's it. And then, my husband obviously had 2 emeralds because he needed 2 emeralds to be diamond. One of them was my mom, who I built to emerald with my dad and my stepdad. And one was another girl who signed up her mom and her husband and held long enough for us to hit 2-star, and then she quit. And that was my whole downline. Everybody else was a discounter. And everyone's like, this is so awesome, you're 2-star. And I'm like, oh, if they only knew, I am like the biggest 2-star on the planet. And because I went 2-star, I earned this awesome retreat that Micah hosted. So Micah is my like 2 upline. She's not mine. Jaylyn Barnes is mine, which Jaylyn is freaking amazing. I'm going to talk about her in a little bit. But because I'm like part of the downline and I had rank advanced past my lifetime 1-star, I got to come to this retreat and I felt so freaking fake. It was my last weekend before I was going to have my little girl. It was my last weekend as a family of 3, and the last place I wanted to go was to this retreat. I felt like I didn't deserve to go, and I will never, ever, ever be able to adequately express how much that weekend changed my life. When I look back on weekends, I get goosebumps every single freaking time I talk about this. When I look back on weekends, when my life changed, the weekend I got married, the weekend my oldest was born, the weekend my youngest was born, and the weekend I went to that retreat and met Josh Coates in real life. It is Josh Coates that made my business like explode. And I'm going to talk about that. But that weekend like legit changed my life. So I want you to hear like, and I didn't talk about this. I hit Success Club. I'm Success Club 36, 37, what month is it? August, 38 months in a row. But up until last year, I would hit Success Club on the last day of the month because I'd call my grandpa, who was 85, and ask him if he'll buy a challenge pack if I PayPal him the money. Like, I was not actually hitting Success Club. My income was in the gutter. Like, everything sucked in my business. So when I talk about like some of the stuff I'm about to talk about and the Success Club numbers I'm able to pull now and stuff, like, I want you to see all of this stemmed from the stuff I changed that weekend. So, and I, like, as much as I love talking about my story, I want this to be a good use of your guys' time. So I'm going to give you 5 actionable, like, do this and I promise it will work steps, okay? And I wish they were super, like, mind-blowing. I bet you've heard every single one of them, which just goes back. You just got to do the basics. But these are legit the 5 things that changed my life, okay? You ready? Number 1, I found my why. So when I went to that retreat, the day before the retreat, I thought I was going into labor. And I called my husband and I was like, I think I'm going into labor. I need you to come home, because he was working out of state and had worked out of state all summer for the 2nd summer in a row. He took a construction job that he had to take because financially we couldn't afford our life otherwise. And we lived a pretty like low-key life. We were debt-free with the exception of our house. We have a very reasonable mortgage. And like, it wasn't like we had this insane amount of bills. He wasn't making any money anywhere other than this construction job. And so we hated this job. I hated him being gone. My daughter hated him being gone. She was 3. She cried every day that she missed dad. And like, life it was hard. Oh, are you getting vocal too? I called my husband and I was like, I think I'm going into labor. I need you to come home. And he was like, I can't come home yet. I'm not done. And I was like, oh, no, like I'm going into labor. I need you to come home. And he was like, I'm sorry, I can't. And it turns out he was just trying to be funny, and he was in the car on the way home, and he was going to surprise me. And I didn't end up being in labor, and everything was fine. But that moment was the final like straw that broke the camel's back, that I was done with that job. I was done. And the only reason he had that job, I'd been a Beachbody coach for 2 years. I have Micah and Jaylyn as my uplines. I know how to become a millionaire. And I just couldn't seem to get my crap together to do it. And that moment was like, move out the way. I am gonna figure this out. Really. And I am going to make enough money so you can quit your job. And so that's number one. You have to know why you're doing this. It wasn't enough for me to say like, because I want to change lives. Like that's so not enough. And it wasn't enough for me to be like, because I want to make more money. Okay, that's not enough either. You have to have like very specific emotional, like, and they said this at Summit, that this is the best way to describe it. I've heard people say like, your why should make you cry. I do agree it should make you that emotional, that it brings up that level of emotions. But they said at Summit, you need to find your fight. What the freak are you fighting for? Like, why are you going to get up and send your invites when you don't want to? Why are you going to get up and do your workout when you don't want to? Why are you going to post on social media when you don't want to? Like, what are you fighting for? So number one, you have to know what you're fighting for. And then you have to tie a number, like an income to it. So not only did I know I need this to change our lives, I know why I'm fighting for it. I want Jake to come home from his job, but I had to know, okay, what income do I need to make that a reality? And for some reason, we picked 5,000. I don't know why, but I was like, if I make 5,000 a month, he can quit his job. And he said, if you can make 5,000, I don't think he thought I could do it. That grammar was so bad. You know what I'm trying to say. He did not think I was going to be able to do it. But he was like, if you can make 5,000, we can talk about me quitting my job. And so I was like, okay. And he apparently, after that many years of marriage, doesn't know me well enough, because I like whipped it out like 4 months later, jumped from 1 to 5. And I was like, okay, so when you put in your 2 weeks notice, like I am done with this life. And he just didn't realize how done I was until all of a sudden ish started happening. So you have to know what you're fighting for. Tie a number to it and make it emotional. Make it something you're passionate about. Make it something that it has to be more than because I want to change lives. If you don't want to change lives, you're in the wrong business. That's a given. You need to want to change lives to be a coach anyway. It needs to be something way above and beyond that. And my husband quit his job in February, and I've tried trying to come up with a new why since then, because I'm like, I don't know what my why is now. And my why hasn't changed. I still have the same why, because I want to continue this life. He loves his new job, and he loves what he does now. And I love that he's home every day for dinner. And I love that I sleep with him every night instead of sleeping with a gun next to me. And that's my why. I want my income to keep going up so that this will continue to be our life. So once you find your why it can evolve, and your income number does need to evolve. Once you hit the income number or you're getting close, you got to pick a new one, because you're not going to aim at something. You're not going to hit something you're not aiming at. So you need to reevaluate that. But what you're fighting for, that can stay the same even once you quote unquote hit it. Okay. That's number one. Number two, I found back up. So now that I know my why, I know what I'm pushing for. You put your blinders on. Okay. I am, and I'm sure you guys are too, I am blessed to be part of a very successful upline. I have Micah Folsom, who, just in case you're new or live under a rock, is a double 15-star and just went 6-star in her 5th CBC today on the National Wake Up Call. And she's in the Million Club, and she's like been in the top 10. She's friggin' Micah Folsom. And then my upline is Jaylyn Barnes, 2-time elite, and is a 10-star and has earned over $250,000 lifetime since she signed up as a coach. And then somewhere in Micah's umbrella, We have Ashley Smith, who is 2-time top 10 and is about to be number 3. And we have Melissa Brewer, who is 2-time elite. And we have Cozy Folsom, who is Micah's sister-in-law, that's about to be elite and is a 5-star. And Ashley Smith has 4 elite coaches. Like we have, and that's not even touching on Micah's coaches who are rock stars, but aren't elite coaches. Like there are very successful coaches in Micah's downline. And every week, I would get on the boards, the leaderboards, and see all these people who were doing better than me. And all these people who recruited more than me, and their success club was higher than me, and their volume was higher than me, and their rank was higher than me. And they're shouting out 5 new emeralds, and I haven't signed a coach in 4 years, and that's not really true, but you know what I mean. And I just would get these like weird comparison things. And so I like hardcore put on my blinders. I love my team with my whole heart and soul, but I'm gonna unfollow all the ones that I do this weird competitive thing with on Facebook and on Instagram. I'm not going to watch their stories. I'm not going to watch their live videos and see that they had 7 million people on live at once, and that every time they post a story, they get 600 people replying to a poll. Like, I'm just not going to look at that anymore, because I'm just going to work on me. I'm just going to, how can I make my Insta stories better? How can I make my success club numbers go up? How can I be more successful with my personal development, with my power hours, with my recruiting, I'm just going to look at me. I'm just going to stay in my lane. I'm just going to look at Ashley. What is Ashley doing? What is Ashley doing today that's better than yesterday, than last week, than last month, than last year? Everything became about me. And how can I personally grow instead of comparing myself to everybody else? And then along the way, I decided to make this tracker. I don't know why I decided to call it this, but they always say like 1 in 10 will help you hit your goals. And like 1 in 10 will actually go diamond, and 1 in 10 of your diamonds will actually go star and whatever. So I decided, well, I want to end the year as a 10-star. So I guess I need 100 people who are telling me they want to work the business. And I had like 3. And I kept saying, oh, I have my 3. So they're going to go diamond. My husband's going to be diamond. My sister's going to be diamond. I'll have my second CBC. That's 6-star right there. Okay, that's not how it works. Not everybody who says they want this actually does. And that's not necessarily because they are lying. It's sometimes life comes up. Sometimes it doesn't line up with their goals. Sometimes whatever. So I needed 100 people. So I made a Google sheet called 100 builders. That's what it's called. And every time I sign a new builder, I go in and stick in their name. And it's super basic. It says like their name and the leg they're on and which CBC they're in and the date they signed up, because for elite points, if they change a life in their first 2 months, you get an extra point for them. So that's all I track. And then I track their rank too, so I can just keep track. And I'm not at 100 yet, but we're at like 50, 60, and I'm pretty freaking proud of that, because like I said, last September I had 2. So we're like, our team is going somewhere, and I'm still not at my 100. I didn't hit my 100 goal yet, but I'm like staying in my own lane, and I'm just looking at me, and I still constantly catch myself doing this. There are coaches that I have met that I love with my whole soul. I love them so much, and they fire me up, and they're so amazing, and they're so inspiring, but I cannot follow them because I compare. And I don't know why I do it with some coaches and I don't do it with others, because I can watch Ashley Bell Dyson and Melanie Mitro and Ashley. Oh, I might just get too animated. And Ashley Molstad, and I can follow all these top coaches and not compare myself at all. But I start following what Kate Morgan is doing, and all of a sudden I like lose my mind. That just made me think of like the Joker from Dark Knight, who lose their minds. But I can't not compare. I have to compare to what she's doing. And so that's how I know I shouldn't be following her. I freaking love Kate, like with all my soul. And I hope she keeps crushing this, but my brain can't handle following her, so I don't follow her. I follow people who inspire me that I don't compare myself to. And other than that, I stay in my own lane, okay? That was number 2. Number 3, I found my limiting beliefs, and then I put some affirmations behind them. So this is where Josh Coates comes in. So Micah flew Josh out to our retreat, and I had been on like every Josh webinar he ever does. I had even paid for a couple of his groups. And my income didn't really grow. And so I was like, I don't know why everybody is always talking about, hey, do you want this? I'm handing you all the food. I don't know what to hand you. I don't know why everyone's always raving about Josh, because he's not that cool. And like, your stuff doesn't really change when you sign up with him. And he came to this retreat, and we do this retreat thing that he does where he talks about like what you want out of life. If you could have whatever you wanted, what do you want out of life? And then what is it that's holding you back? And I realized at that retreat, I had some huge limiting beliefs that I had no idea were there. I had a limiting belief that I was a bad leader, and that nobody who signed up with me would stick around. Because I mean, look, I hit 2-star with 2 emeralds, 1 emerald that I didn't control, one emerald, and everybody else was a discounter. And that my sister had more coaches than me, and she wanted nothing to do with my groups or my team calls or my anything, because she wanted to do her own thing. So I must be a bad leader, because everybody I signed quits. And I had a limiting belief about that the ability to be good at this business and still be a good wife and still be a good mom. And that if I get too successful in this business, it's going to take away from time with my kids, and it's going to take away time from my husband. And that if I get too good at this, it's going to change the way my life looks in a negative way. And the more time that passed, so anyway, so Josh had us, so we talked about our limiting beliefs, and he walked us through them and helped us like work through them. So obviously it's a lot easier to do this if Josh is helping you, but I'm going to kind of walk you through how I did this a little bit. And there's 2 books I've read that were super good at helping you. 3 books. Mastering Your Mean Girl from Melissa Ambrosini is really good at helping with limiting beliefs. Finish from John Acuff had some really good stuff in there. And You Are a Badass at Making Money. I always forget what that book is called. From Jen Sincero. That one's really good too, about limiting beliefs. More specifically with money, but you'd be surprised how many money limiting beliefs tie into everything else in your life. Okay, so let's talk about the limiting belief about I can't be good at this business and still be a good mom and a good wife. So through talking to Josh, we started talking. So I said, okay, I don't think I can be good at this business. I don't know any successful coaches in this business who don't have a nanny, who don't, or their kids are still my kids' age, who have a brand new baby and they don't have a nanny and they're super successful. And that he was like, okay, so start talking to me about this. Talk to me about your mom. Tell me about your mom when you were growing up. And I was like, well, she was really good at multi-level marketing. My mom earned a free vehicle with Mary Kay, Pampered Chef, Tupperware, and Discovery Toys. Not 100% sure why she did it with 4 different companies, but she was super good at building herself in all 4 companies. And she, back then, multi-level marketing and networking parties were in person. They didn't really have social media, so she would have parties at night once my dad got home from work. My mom was definitely the primary income earner, though. And my dad had a job, but he worked at McDonald's and Burger King on their janitorial staff, barely making minimum wage, didn't have insurance, very, very, very minimal wage. My mom had to make up the difference. And so my dad would come home and my mom would say okay, dinner's in the oven. I'm going to a party. This is where it is. And I'll be back at this time. And my dad has pretty severe bipolar and a lot of other things, but he has pretty bad bipolar. And so when he gets upset very fast. And he would get upset that he was coming home from a long day at work and that now all of a sudden he had to sit with the kids. So he would say things like, they'd fight about how he was leaving. What, babe? Yep, we'll get you a Kristoff Barbie, okay? Okay. I'm going to say whatever I have to make her not talk to him no this call. If you want a Lamborghini, I will buy you a Lamborghini. So he would get upset that he's coming home from this long day of work and that she's going to leave. So he would say, after they yell at each other for however many minutes, he would say, well, I can't guarantee your kids are still going to be alive when you get home. And I was 7 probably. Like my very first memory as a kid was literally hiding in the closet while my dad tried to kill my mom and she was calling 911 screaming for help. Like their marriage was obviously struggling in a lot of ways that had nothing to do with multi-level marketing. But when they ended up getting divorced when I was 12, somehow my brain associated that with she got too good at multi-level marketing. Look what happened to her marriage. And I had no idea my brain had made that connection until talking to Josh. And Josh was like, well, this is why you think you can't be good at multi-level marketing as a mom, because in your experience, that's what happened. And so number one, I had to find the limiting belief. I had to find that's the root of the problem. That is why I think I can't be good at this without it ruining my marriage, without it ruining my relationship with my kids. Because then he asked me, how has coaching helped you as a parent? Coaching has helped me as a parent in all the ways. I struggled with severe postpartum anxiety, and I have like zero signs of that because I do personal development and I take care of myself and I fill myself up, and it's literally my job to take care of myself. And I get up and do a miracle morning and take care of me before my kids wake up. So me taking care of me doesn't take away from my time with my kids. And me earning more money with Beachbody has helped my marriage. And it's especially at that time that I kept saying, if I could figure out a way to make more money, it could make it so I'd see my husband more. Me being successful at coaching would help bring my husband home. It would make my marriage better. And that I just couldn't seem to like get through the block in my head. And that's how Josh was like, hey, this is a limiting belief. Because when you're logical about it, it does not make sense that you think multi-level marketing is going to take away from your ability to be a good mom. So, you know, it's tied to a limiting belief. So he helped me find the limiting belief. And then I made a whole bunch of affirmations about how, because I'm intentional with my miracle morning, when my children wake up, I'm patient and ready to spend the day with them. About how I'm intentional with my time, so my family is not losing out on time with me. That because I'm growing in my business, my marriage is improving. I made all these affirmations. Coaching makes my life better, my family's life better, to remind myself, okay, no, we uprooted this limiting belief. We don't get to believe this anymore. So we're going to remind you constantly of why coaching makes you a better mom, why coaching makes you a better wife, because I know that's a limiting belief. So I have to have affirmations that say the opposite. Affirmations, you cannot have affirmations that are all cute and fluffy about I am limitless, I am powerful. Like those are so great, and I just totally use my condescending voice, but like they don't help you unless you struggle with feeling limited. Like your limiting beliefs have to be tied to a affirmation. That's how they work, because limiting beliefs are like the mean girl, and then the affirmations are like the dynamite that just makes her sit down and shut the F up. And so they have to be very targeted. You have to know what the limiting belief is in order to make the affirmation work. And then my whole I'm a bad leader one, every time I signed somebody up and then they would end up only working the business for like 2 weeks and then they would quit, was my brain looking for proof. See, I did it again. See, I did it again. See, oh, I'm going to post that I'm doing a sneak peek, but I hope nobody signs up, because if they do, they're just going to end up hating Beachbody because they're going to sign up for 2 weeks and then they're going to quit. Look, they signed up. Look, they quit. See, I told you that's what was going to happen. And my brain just kept looking for proof. That's what your brain does when you find a limiting belief. It's looking for the story. It is looking for proof that what you believe is actually true. That's why I could only see successful Beachbody coaches who had nannies, because I was just totally ignoring all the bajillions of ones that exist that don't have nannies. My brain was just looking at the ones that do. That's what limiting beliefs do. So I made a whole bunch of limiting beliefs about how I'm not a bad leader. And you want your affirmation, I just said limiting beliefs. Make affirmations about how you're a good leader. You never want to have negatives like not or things like that. So my affirmations about being a leader are things like, because I am, now that I'm saying them on the spot, I'm going to forget what they are. Because I'm confident and lead with positive energy, I find coaches who are also confident and have positive energy. And the reason that kind of affirmation works is because it's not just me saying, I I attract positive coaches on my team. No, I didn't. I had like negative, terrible coaches on my team that I did not like. It's because I tell myself, if I want to attract people like that, I have to act like that. And because I say that in my affirmation every single day, it reminds my brain, no, we got to be confident and we got to be positive. If you want to attract confident, positive people, you got to be a confident, attractive. Why do I keep saying attractive? Confident, positive person. And so that's the affirmation so I have a whole bunch. I can share more of my affirmations with you guys if you want. And this is the big one. Finding your limiting beliefs is going to take a long time. And then you're going to sit down and do all this work. And then tomorrow, a new one's going to pop up. They pop up all the time. I decided that my goal isn't 10-star anymore. It's 15-star. And that I instantly started getting limiting beliefs popping up in my head. That usually, if you sit down on a piece of paper, if you know what your goal is, if you know you want to finish the year elite, and if you write down on a piece of paper, why can't I finish the year as an elite coach? It's usually the very first little voice that pops up in your head. And then all these other little voices are going to try to cover it because your brain is like, oh, shoot, she's going to find that. Give her more information. Don't let her find out. Because your brain is trying to protect that. Your brain has that limiting belief because it's trying to protect you. It legitimately thought, if I got too good at my business, I would ruin my marriage and my husband and I would get divorced and my kids would have a terrible relationship with him and that my kids would have the same experiences I had with my dad. And that's not, like, my brain was trying to protect me, but my brain was wrong. And so when you're looking for limiting beliefs, you usually find them very quickly if you're paying attention, because your brain knows why it thinks what it thinks. It just doesn't want you to know that. So, and then you make an affirmation to counteract it. And you have to say them like a gajillion times a day, okay? That's number 3. I promise I'm trying to go so fast. Okay, number 4, I stepped up as a leader and became a major team player. Okay, and I'm gonna preface this whole category. Nobody on this call told me to say any of the things I'm about to say, okay? This is legit, my own true story, and this is one of the things that made my business explode. I was that person. I am technically under Jaylen's husband. I may need to get her down because she's starting to run out of activities. I'm under Jaylen's husband. So me going diamond didn't really help her rank. Me hitting Success Club didn't help her elite points, whatever. And so, which I'm actually kind of grateful for, because I had a really big limiting belief that whenever she encouraged people to go diamond, that I was like, well, no, duh, you want everybody to go diamond. You want your rank to go up. And no, duh, you want everybody to hit Success Club. You want to hit elite. You want elite points. And no, duh, you want everybody to grow their business because you want your team cycle bonuses to come up. And so I had this super piss poor attitude. And guess what? I was attracting super piss poor people. So the way you feel towards your upline is how you will attract people. And it is a thing, I am telling you. So I hit 2-star, and I had just gone to this amazing retreat that Jaylen paid for me to go to, even though it was Micah's retreat. Jaylen had to pay for me to go because I wasn't Micah's personally sponsored. She's throwing all the things. Here, do you want to play this? Maybe that will be fun, and that will entertain you for like 2 minutes. Jaylen had to pay for me to go to this retreat, and I ended up telling her at the retreat that I felt like she kind of wanted people to push for stuff because she wanted to grow in her business, and she was like one of my best friends. We'd been friends forever, and I was 2-star. I'd been a coach for 2 years, and she and I had this really big conversation. She kept saying, when we go 10-star, I'm taking all my personally sponsored coaches to Disneyland, and I was like, well, I don't get to go because I'm Greg's. And so I told her that she was like, I don't get why Disneyland isn't incentivizing the team. And I was like, well, it doesn't incentivize me. I don't get to go. And she's like, who says you don't get to go? Like, you're one of my coaches. And I was like, no, I'm not. I'm Greg's. And she was like, oh my gosh, shut up. And so, and I just had this big block in my head that that she only wanted people to grow and that she didn't care about me. And I just had all these weird blocks. So today I give birth to my nice chatterbox over here. I am in the hospital, and literally, she was probably an hour and a half old. They're wheeling me up from delivery to recovery. And I remember I was sitting in the elevator, the doors opened, my phone vibrated, I looked down at it, and there was a text from her saying that her husband had been attacked at work and that she had heard his voice because he called her, so she knew he was alive, but that's all she knew. Her husband's a police officer. My husband isn't a police officer, but he's very heavily involved in the police community on a volunteer basis. My husband and her husband are best friends. Like I said, Jalen is one of my best friends. And so I instantly started going into panic mode. She was hyperventilating. The police chief, commissioner, or some huge ranked person came to her house to get her and take her to the emergency room. They get to the emergency room and there's 8 police officers guarding the door because they didn't want anybody else getting in that wasn't supposed to be in there because he had been involved in a gang shooting and the person who had been attacking them had died, and so they were afraid of gang retaliation, and her children had to they had to do all this protective services, everything just got super scary for a minute. And she was 11 weeks pregnant, and she was I'm struggling a little bit, so if I'm a little MIA for the next couple days, and we were oh my gosh, don't you even, we are fine, we can help the team. So 5 days later, Emma's 5, I'm home, 5 days old, I'm home from the hospital. She goes in to check on her baby for her weekly her ultrasound. She was supposed to be 12 weeks, and they realized the baby didn't have a heartbeat anymore. And so she called me and she was like, I don't know what to do. I can't get out of bed. I don't know what to do. Can you help me with the team? Because I don't want to walk away from my coaches, but I don't know what to do. And I was like, oh girl, I got you. So she put me in her message pods so that I could help her team. Because remember, I had 2 coaches, and one of them was my sister who had a bigger team than me. I didn't have a team. I didn't have pods I was running. So I was like, oh sure, I'll help you. And my recovery was great. Shakeology and Energize are very helpful living through newborn life. So I felt awesome. And so I was like, yep, I can do this. So her coaches started asking questions that I was like, these are totally normal questions. These are questions my coaches ask before they quit. Maybe I'm not doing something wrong. Maybe I'm not a bad leader. These are normal questions the coaches have. And then people would be like, hey, I'm going to go Emerald and I'm going to assign my husband and my mom. Which leg do I put my husband on? And I don't know. They're not in my drill down. So I was like, send me a screenshot of your graphical genealogy so I can tell you which leg's your strong leg. And so they would send it to me and I'd be like, okay, husband goes on this leg and your mom goes on this leg. And then they would get their Emerald shout out and Jalen would do their shout out. And I was like, good job, I'm so proud of you. Because I helped them do that. And coaches started hitting Success Club. But I was like, I helped them do that. And there were girls who were pushing for diamonds. They were like, hey, help me strategize. I have 2 coaches on this leg, but one is my mom and I control her. And I have 3 coaches on this leg, but one is my husband and he's already an Emerald. So where do I put my next person? They want to be a builder. Where do I put them? And then when they went diamond, I was like, dude, I just helped build a diamond. Wasn't my girl. I wasn't benefiting. She wasn't in my downline. I didn't make any cycle bonuses. I didn't star diamond. I didn't get elite points. I didn't get anything, but I felt so dude, I helped with that. And then when I would I started, I'm going to talk about this in a second, but I started reading 5-second rule and it changed my whole freaking life. And so I started sharing snippets every day in the accountability pods that I was like, oh, Mel Robbins just spoke to my soul again. And all of a sudden the whole team started reading my personal development book. And then I started reading You Are a Badass at Making Money. And all of a sudden the whole team started reading my personal development book. And the whole team kind of started following what I was doing. And then all of a sudden, Jalen finished number 51. Even though everything hit the fan, she still finished number 51. And I was like, dude, I'm not even one of her diamonds. I didn't contribute a single point to that. And I'm freaking proud of our team, even though I had nothing to do with that. And then in February, we jumped from 6-star to 10-star. And we held it the whole qualification. And she took us to Disneyland. And even though I'm one of Greg's coaches, I got to go too. And okay, I'm gonna get you down, and I'm gonna try and hold you while I do this. And it was amazing. And I never was but I'm not really one of the 10. I'm just an emerald under one of the diamond. Like, who the freak cares? I helped. My energy helped. I helped those people. I helped with my energy. I helped with my personal development suggestions. I helped with my live videos. You're so loud. I don't even think they can hear me. I helped with scripts. I helped with whatever I could to help my upline. And you better believe that when you help your upline and you don't just think, they only want me to grow so they can hit elite, and they only want me to grow so they can make money off of me. If you think that, you're going to attract people that think that too. So when you lean in and you want to help your team see success, even if they're nowhere in your downline and you don't get any benefit whatsoever from helping them, that's how your business grows. When you help other people, we are Team Beachbody. You help whoever you can. Do you think about the National Wake Up Call? Those people on the National Wake Up Call go on and they tell us their best practices, and 10 to 1, none of us are in their downline. They're not going to benefit from all of us implementing their scripts, and they still come on and say the things that are benefiting their business. And we all put it as goals on our vision board that we want to be on the National Wake Up Call someday. Act like you're on the National Wake Up Call. Tell people what you're doing to be successful. Help other coaches in your team. Not just your team, not just your upline's team, not just your upline's team. Help anybody you can. Share scripts. Let people use your transformation pictures. Help share your personal development nuggets. And I'm not saying like come in and like be bossy in the threads. And if you guys haven't done your power hour today, you suck. Like I just came in and I just read this thing from John Maxwell and it just spoke to my soul. Here's my quote of the day. I freaking loved it. And then everyone will say, what book are you reading? And then you sway the whole team in the personal development you're doing. So number 4, care about your team. Care about them. Want them to see success. Care about your upline. Hold your rank. Hit Success Club, because what you do and how you help your upline is how your people will help you. If they see that you are doing everything you can to be a team player for your upline, you will attract people who want to be a team player for you. Okay? Okay, number 5. This one's going to have all the bullet points, and then I'm going to be done because I don't know that she's going to let me talk a whole lot more. Okay, I got really intentional. So this is 5, but then I'm going to have a whole bunch of like A, B, C, D, E. Okay, ready? A, I started doing my power hour every day. Josh Coates says that it took God 6 days to create the earth, and he rested once. Why do you think you only need to work 3 to 4 to 5 days and rest 3 to 4 to 5 days, okay? You work 6 days a week. You want to grow your business, you work 6 days a week. I started actually doing my power hour as many times as Micah told me to do it, as many times as Jalen told me to do it. And hey, look at that. I started hitting our Success Club numbers. Imagine that. If you only do your power hour once in a while, you're only going to find challengers once in a while, okay? You got to do a power hour consistently. And what you plant, what you plant now will reap or sow or whatever that word I'm looking for is in like 3 months. So if you're so freaking intentional right now and you don't hit Success Club 8 billion tomorrow, give it 3 months and then tell me what Success Club numbers you start hitting, okay? It takes a couple months to see the results. So if you start working really hard, give it some time. Be patient, don't quit, and go at a speed that you're not going to burn out on. So don't try to send 8 billion invites and then be burned out and tomorrow you can't keep up with your inbox. Josh, how's this do? 20 connections, 10 invites. Because of how big my following is, that's literally happy birthday messages. That's all I have to do for my connections, and I hit 20. And then I send 10 invites, and that's literally my power hour. I can do my power hour in 18 minutes, and that's it. And that's like a fast, that's a slow day. I can usually do my birthday messages in 5 minutes. Why are you so loud? You're so loud. Trying to think of like something I can hand her to entertain her. Okay, so Josh is real. Like Josh is real. His group and the fact that you get cash back if you're 85% of the time showing up with your crap, that's the only reason I was consistently showing up when she was brand new and I was freaking exhausted and not sleeping through the night. And my husband was gone, and I'm handling 2 kids by myself. One of them who's like 2 weeks old. It's because of Josh's group, because I wanted that cash back. And so Josh's groups work. They do. They work, okay? 5B, I upped my personal development, and I stopped watching Netflix. I was determined to be that coach who said that I hit 27,000 star and was still watching Grey's Anatomy 12 hours a day, okay? And then I was really surprised that I could barely hit Success Club and had to call my grandpa on the last day of the month. Like, shit, Ashley. So stop watching Netflix and up your personal development, because what you fill your brain with is what you will see. If you want health and fitness, put it in there. And if you want success and money and health and happiness, put that in your brain. Do personal development. I literally have it as a goal to do 3 hours of personal development a day. And I obviously have a very loud chatterbox, and I have a 4-year-old over there with the iPad and headphones. And I still aim for 2 to 3 hours a day, because I know that I'm a better me when I do personal development. And I watch Netflix at night with my husband. We have our shows we watch together that he loves, that I can only make it through one episode before I start falling asleep. But that's it. I do not watch. The TV does not ever get turned on when he's home or when he's gone. He comes home, we watch Netflix, and that's it. I do not watch TV, because all those extra pockets of time I'm doing personal development. While I'm driving, while I'm showering, while I'm getting ready, while I'm cooking, while I'm doing laundry, while I'm doing dishes, while I'm doing every little mom pocket life thing, I am doing personal development, okay? Number 3, and I started implementing it. That's when I was going to talk about 5-second rule. I read 5-second rule when Emma was a week old, and I was like, oh, that's a nice fluffy thought. Put your alarm on your phone in the bathroom, in another room, and when your alarm goes off, you have to get out of bed so you can turn it off. That's nice. And then I totally didn't do it. And the next day when I turned my PD on, she was like, so did you do it? And if you didn't, why didn't you? And I was like, well, that's a good question. Why am I wasting my time reading this book if I'm not going to try this? So I decided to try it. And I literally have not pushed snooze since that day. That was like October 5th. I'm coming up on almost a year of literally never pushing snooze, because I decided to implement, sorry, my hair is like falling out. It's driving me crazy. I decided to implement what I was reading. So it's not enough to just read it. You have to implement it. You have to do what they say. So I've read Miracle Morning like 8 times. It took me till the 8th time to finally be like, okay, I'm going to do these pavers. I'm going to do this, or I think he calls them savers. Silence and affirmations and visualization and affirmations, and I think I said that one already. Visualization and exercise and reading and scribing. I'm going to do these every day before my kids wake up. And it took me like 8 times to read it, because I kept reading it and not implementing anything. So not only do you need to do a lot of personal development, you need to implement a lot of your personal development, okay? Number 3, I started delegating stuff. I do have an assistant. She does very, very, very minimal stuff for me, because I'm still kind of a control freak, but she helps me with like my leaderboards for my accountability group and stuff that's like, I don't have to do that. Somebody else can do that, and nobody's going to know if she made the graphic and counted the check-ins instead of me. No one's going to know if I asked her to do that. And sometimes she like will go through and she'll make a list of everybody who's liking my posts so that I can tell her who I want invites sent to. But she makes the list, or she'll make the list of everybody who's watching my stories so that I know who to send invites to in my stories. She does a lot of my busy work stuff. And then I hired a house cleaner that comes once every 2 weeks for 3 hours. I still have to clean my house. I still have to do my laundry. I still have to do my dishes. She just does my baseboards and my blinds and my toilets. So I don't have to do that. And when I'm home, I'm not thinking about how my house is a total wreck. Right now is not a very good example, because we just got home from vacation. But that I don't have to think about that stuff, because somebody else is making sure that I don't have fungus growing in my toilet and that I don't have an inch of mold on my blinds, because somebody else does that for me. And when I'm like not working, I'm with my kids, or I'm with my husband, or if my kids are asleep and my husband's at work, I am busting my butt to grow my business, because I'm intentional about how I do it, okay? Number 4, I turned off messenger notifications. I am in some awesome pods. Emma McClellan, get down. She's playing by the stairs. Get down. Yeah, you know you're not supposed to do that. Come here. Come here. I'm in some awesome pods. And so my messenger notifications blow up all day. And when I would unplug, I'd walk away from my phone and I would come back and have like 95 billion messages that I'm like scrolling the lock screen on my phone just to see all the things I missed that I'm like, I can never unplug again because look at everything I missed. I just turn them all off. My phone doesn't have the little red dot. Like nothing happens if somebody does anything on Instagram or Facebook Messenger. I have no idea. I have to choose to go in and look at it. And it makes it so much better because I'm not sitting there thinking, I've got 75 billion messages I missed and I'm never going to get back to them. I just sit and think, okay, I'm done playing with my kids. My kids are napping. They're playing with a toy. They're whatever. I'm going to go look and I'm going to bust through as many as I can before my kids need me or before my kids wake up or before my husband gets home or whatever. And I don't look at them unless I'm planning on doing something about them. And it makes it so my phone is not always in my hand. I am not tied to my phone. Melanie Mitro said the best thing at New Leader, that your kids will remember if your phone is always in your hand. If your kids grow up with you going like this, and hold on, babe, I'll get back to you. Hold on, let mom finish this. Hold on, babe. They will remember that. And I don't want my kids to remember that. I want my kids to remember that, yes, mom worked her butt off, and yes, mom is inspiring other people, but she does it when I'm situated with something else after she played with me. Or she replied to a message while she was making dinner or whatever, that it's not when they need me that my phone is constantly glued to my hand. That's why I am very intentional about doing a miracle morning. And that's why I'm very intentional about working when my kids are napping. So that and that's why I don't do Netflix, because I didn't want my kids, Josh always says this, your kids and your family should never have to give up anything for you to grow this business. You give up things. You give up your sleep. You give up your Netflix time. You give up whatever you have to. Your family doesn't have to sacrifice for you to grow this business. And that all, me turning off Messenger really, really, really helped me tune into that. I intentionally unplug every day. There are periods of time that my phone is nowhere near me. It's charging on the counter, that it's Emma McClellan, get away from the stairs. Emma, come here. Come here. Yeah, you know you're not supposed to be doing that. That's why you're grinning like a fool. Come here. Because it's very important to recharge. Your phone needs to recharge. Hold on. Yeah, you just really want to play by the stairs, huh? It is very important to recharge. You honor that your phone battery tells you it's low and then it needs to recharge or it's going to die. And yet we don't do that for ourselves. We don't have the capability to go all day long and pour into other people and constantly be tethered to our phones and not be surrounded by the people that we love and intentionally focus on them. We have to unplug and we have to let ourselves recharge in order to have the energy and the vitality that we need to pour love into others. And you can't pour from an empty vessel. You have to unplug and have certain sets of time where you're not working on your business. And I talk about it every single week on Sundays. I will post something in my stories every Sunday that says, and just a reminder, I don't reply to messages. I will get back to you first thing tomorrow. So I'm getting to the point now, people message me on Sunday. They say, hey, I know you're not going to reply to this today, but when you get a chance, I really want some information about your challenge group or whatever. Like, people know it's going to take a second before I get back to them because I talk about it. I'm open about it. I share that my family comes first, and if you need a coach who is going to get back to you at the drop of a hat, I'm not the right fit for you. So we need to find somebody else. I'm very open about that because my family comes first. I built this business for my family, and I want Beachbody to give me a life, not become my life. And that only happens if you set boundaries. Okay? I'm almost done. 5F. Is that what we're on? 5, 6, whatever. Anyway, the next one. I started tracking, really intentional. I got really intentional with my tracking. I'm a big believer in Team Z. I think Team Z is the best. I just barely started using Team Z 2 months ago, and I are like through the roof because my brain just doesn't have the capability to remember people. I had people slipping through the cracks left and right, and Team Z is the only reason I'm not forgetting people anymore because it tells me who to follow up with, and I can tell it. I just told someone about how challenge group works. Remind me to talk to them in 2 days. So-and-so is ghosting me. Remind me to talk to them in a week. Like, I just signed a new challenger. Remind me to check in with them in 4 days and see how they're doing. Like, I can tell it who to remind me to talk to so that I can keep in touch with all my challengers and all my coaches and all my business builders and all my prospects and all my whatever. I can keep in touch with people, and it tells me who to talk to. And it's saving my freaking bacon, okay? And 5, A, B, C, D, E, F, G. I got super, super, super intentional with my journey. It is totally possible to crush this business and not be a 100-pound coach. And I can tell you that from experience. If you go look at my posts today, I posted a picture of me on the Success Club trip that I earned 100% free. So I was changing enough lives that the trip was free. And it's my before picture, and it's just from 4 months ago. Okay. It is possible to see success in this business if you're not very good at your journey, but I promise the business is a heck of a lot easier if you are crushing your journey. And To Be Mindset has freaking changed my life. I love To Be Mindset with my whole soul. And ever since I got really intentional with To Be Mindset, challenge packs are coming a heck of a lot easier. I have way more people in my funnel. I have way more people to talk to. It is way easier to do call to actions. It's way easier to post about what I'm doing in my stories because I can't shut up about it. And I freaking love what I'm doing. I love Lift 4. I love that I'm seeing this much definition 4 days a week. Like, this is especially after 80 day. I love autumn. I did not love 80 day. And I think it's partially because I did not love time nutrition. And emotional eating is a thing for me, and time nutrition and emotional eating are like as opposite of each other as they come. And this, like, Lift 4 and 2B is changing my freaking life. So ever since I got really intentional with my journey, everything, did you smack yourself with that? Everything in my business totally exploded because I was intentional. Hey. With my journey. So, okay, that is everything that I had. I did not even look at the chat because I obviously have some distractions. So, I'm going to mute her for a second. Look at the chat.
It's okay. I think that the only actual question was do you have a challenge group script that you like to use because you're very high energy and people love it?
My big script I use, my invite script is exactly the same for everything. So it says thank you so much for your love on my post. It's really hard to be vulnerable about my income if it's a coaching post, or about emotional eating if it's a To Be Mindset post, or about whatever. And it makes it a lot easier when people are so supportive. So thank you. Were you being a cheerleader, or are you interested in more info? Either way, know that I see you and I appreciate you. And then it has 8 billion emojis, and that is literally every single invite. Every single invite says that. And she's gonna try to touch you guys. And then I get a lot of people who are like, you know what, I'm just being a cheerleader, but I think you're awesome, or whatever, that I'm like, thanks, I really, really, really do appreciate the support, so thank you. And you better believe 2 months later, when I get people who out of the blue ask for information about a challenge group, you scroll back through our messages, it's somebody that I sent an invite to that they said no, they were just being a cheerleader, and all of a sudden they're interested. So yeah. It's still the same process. It's still the same. It takes 2 to 3 months, but it makes it so, because I'm giving people an out, and I'm saying are you interested, or are you just being a cheerleader? People reply back to me. I don't get people ghosting me. I don't get people who, people don't ghost me. I get people replying back.
I actually have one question, and it's just knowing that you've had this shift this year, what's one thing that if you could go back as a new coach and change to have this type of momentum, what would it be?
Oh my gosh. The right personal development. I was that person who said I didn't need personal development, or I would do it, but I was doing 10 minutes a day, 15 minutes a day, and I was not reading the right things. I would read stuff that Jaylyn loved, that Micah loved, that Josh loved, that other people said they loved, but that when I read it, it didn't light my soul on fire. And reading stuff that lights my soul on fire is what makes it so I can't shut up about personal development, is what, yeah.
That was my question. I don't know if anybody else has anything. I know you need to jump off. You've got your
Can I ask a really, really quick one?
Yeah.
All right. So this year you said obviously you're power houring every day, hammering it out before when you were hitting Success Club, like the last day of the month with your grandpa or whatever? How often a week do you think you were doing a power hour? And maybe what were your numbers like?
So like once, a good one, probably once a week. And I would do the burnout thing. So I would like, shoot, I only did a power hour once last week. I'm going to do a really big one. So I would do a huge one, and I would send like 30 invites and like 100 connections and 400 friend requests and whatever. And then I'd be so burned out the next day because I had so many messages in my inbox that I would do nothing for the rest of the week. So I was literally doing one a week. It was a big one, but I was probably only doing one a week. And I literally was hitting Success Club 6. And I was diamond because I was really good at finding discount coaches. So I hit diamond pretty fast, but it took me a long time to get past diamond because I couldn't find builders because I was barely hitting Success Club, and you can't find builders when you're barely hitting Success Club.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. My kids are quiet right now, so I really am up for all the questions. Whatever you guys want to know. She's not screaming right now.
I'll ask one. Do you think your posts have changed a lot this year?
No, I don't. Because I go back and look through them, because on this day on Facebook, it tells you what you posted about, that I'm like, these look exactly the same. And I copy and paste some of them that I'm like, that was a good post. I'm going to reuse that. Like, I think a lot of them are the same. It's the energy is different. People can tell if you're afraid to sign them up because you don't think you're going to be able to help them. Or if you don't 100% believe in this yourself. I believed in the products, which is why I could sell challenge packs when I was doing my power hour. That's why I could sell challenge packs. But I could not sell the business because I didn't feel like I was seeing enough success. I didn't believe in myself. I had too many limiting beliefs. And so my energy about the business was way off. And I guess Josh has you post about the business 3 times a week, and I was not doing that a year ago. I was only posting about the business like the day before a sneak peek into coaching. And that was it. And so, no duh, people were probably like, oh, she is still coaching. Like, I mean, I posted about challenge groups, but I only posted about like the community or the income or whatever. I only posted about that right before a sneak peek. So that is something that has changed. I talk a lot about coaching, and I talk about how, like, I don't just sit on my couch and post and all of a sudden I'm making all this money. I post about how I work, and I show it in my stories every day that I'm doing a power hour. I call it my nap time hustle. But I talk about how I work, and that I do not just post and all of a sudden all my success came. But there is a lot of work involved.
And you unplug every night and every Sunday, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think sometimes with the newer coaches, it's like they get so freaked out or overwhelmed, and it's like, you don't have to be all day with this. You just, when you're doing it, be so intentional that you know, like, you gave it like exactly the hour that business that you want deserve, basically.
Yep. And I have an affirmation, because I still have a limiting belief that if I make somebody wait too long, they're going to sign up with somebody else, or they're not going to wait for me, or they're going to go order it from Amazon, or they're going to find it on a yard sale page or whatever. And so I have an affirmation that says, I am worth waiting for. And so I tell myself that every single day. If somebody decides they don't want to wait for me, that's their problem. I am worth waiting for. And there are people out there who will wait for me because they don't just want to be mindset. They want my groups. They want me. And they will wait for me because they don't just want what I sell. They want me. But I have to tell myself that every single day, because it's hard for me to unplug. I've been unplugged since Friday because we just got back from being out of town for a funeral. And it has been hard for me how many messages I had in my inbox because they're going to go buy it somewhere else. They're going to go buy it somewhere else. And you think she pooped? Okay. That I just have to tell myself, like, no, I'm worth waiting for. The people who want me will wait for me. Oh, no, we're screaming again. Let her put your headphones. Casey.
Does anybody else have any questions? You can unmute yourself if you do. Ashley, you're amazing. Thank you so much. I love like the energy you bring and the things that you say. I love that like you talk about the team element to this, because I think sometimes it gets so lost, but as like a leader on a team, when the people that are really engaged take a step back, you could tell the whole energy shifts. But then when those people come back, the whole energy shifts back. And it's just like, I think it's hard to always put that into words, but it's really cool to hear you say it, that like, you know, the impact that you made in those couple of months where Jalen really needed you. And you kind of were like carrying the leadership role for the team.
Well, and it helped me grow as a leader. It helped me see that the things I was struggling with beforehand, it wasn't just the people I was finding, because Jalen's coaches had the exact same questions my coaches had. And so it helped me see like, it's not that I'm like not uploading. What's the word I'm looking for? Onboarding. I'm not onboarding coaches wrong. Coaches just have questions when they sign up. That's normal. So it helped my confidence a lot to get to practice on her team. So
that's really cool. I didn't realize her story was quite that dramatic.
Insane. Yeah. So when she talks about how she's been pregnant for a year, that's why, because she miscarried, and then it was like a month later they got pregnant again. So yeah.
Well, thank you so much. I know I really appreciate you being here. We have a lot of leaders on the call, and we all invited our teams. And I think you gave some really good nuggets. I took lots of notes.
Well, I'm so glad, and thanks for being patient with the chaos that is my house.
No, I love it. It's real. Like, this is it. You can still make it work, regardless of whatever your circumstances are.
Yep. This is exactly what my life looks like every day.
Yeah. Okay, well, I recorded. I'll get the recording out to everyone. Thank you, Ashley. We love you. Bye.